Episode 9 of Derailed, and I don't know what I'm more surprised at, honestly. The fact that I continue to sit next to Harry Mayes as we continue to do this show.
In my house.
Yes, absolutely. I don't even know what we call this, the Mayes Cave.
The lair.
The lair.
It's a lair,
okay.
yeah.
Or that there are 3 options. I don't know what I'm more surprised about right now. One, that we continue to do this show, that you continue to do the show, continue to invite myself and Chris into your house so we can do the show. Number 2 is that we actually had a coach leave his tenure undefeated in Philadelphia.
That's right.
Left undefeated. Not the Diaz brothers from Scarface, but Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz.
Right.
Not Manny Machado.
No.
Or Manny Moe and Jack.
Or Manny Ramirez.
Right, but also Derailed outlasted his tenure as the Temple head football coach.
Now, nobody would have seen that coming.
Nobody.
Nobody would have put that up on the big board at any casino. You go to Parks Casino, you're not going to see that up on the big board.
Right.
And then number 3 is the obvious, that we're still talking about playoff football.
For the Philadelphia Eagles.
I can't believe
Nick Foles, 25 straight completions. He goes in the game against the Redskins. They totally dominate.
Now, can you do anything 25 times in a row? I had to do this morning on 29.
No.
Where they had a waste paper basket, and I was shooting crumpled up pieces of paper. I hit 18. It was from here to probably that light. What would you say? 5 feet, something like that?
Yes, 7, 8 feet.
7, 8 feet.
Yeah.
So, I'm shooting down, mind you, too, because I'm on a desk. So I do 18 in a row, and then that was the height of my success today.
25 straight. Like, could I make 25 straight 3-foot putts?
Well,
no
3
way.
feet? See, I was going to say for you're a good golfer.
I'm not good.
Oh, you're better than a lot of people, which is good.
No, I don't know about
the
that
average
either,
person shoots bogey to double bogey in between golf.
Yeah, I'm like a bogey guy.
All right, well, I think the average is probably double.
Okay.
But my point of it would be, if I were to say 5, I was going to give you 5 feet. And I was going to say, I think you could get close.
No. That's a lot.
Feet?
25 in a row?
No break, no slope.
Well, I mean,
just a straight shot.
It's still tough. I could not do it. Okay. No, I couldn't. I'm trying to think of something that I could do 25
times in a row.
Successfully.
I tell you what you could do. I think you could hit from the line in which you're supposed to throw, you could hit a dartboard 25 times in a row.
I could hit the board.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily make any bullseyes or score, but I'd hit the board, yeah.
But no, my point is not just the board, is you would actually score.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to be triple.
Yeah, within the circle. Right?
Yeah, but remember, there is that outer circle that doesn't count. It's almost like cork. That's right around it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if you have that wiring, that type of dartboard.
Yeah, the wiring's tough, though. You hit the wire, you bounce right off.
It bounces right off.
Then you're done.
Sometimes if you throw it hard enough, you can slide it in the outside, but the outside doesn't count.
Right.
So I'm guessing 25 times in a row there. What could you eat something? Could you eat 25 pieces of sushi?
I've probably done that.
Rice expands.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
tough. Bottom line
you've eaten 25 straight pieces of sushi?
Not straight, but I have eaten a lot of sushi at a sitting.
Yeah,
I enjoy sushi.
The idea of comparing it to a Nick Foles streak is that you don't stop.
It's preposterous.
Exactly. Well, it's also that you don't stop.
Yeah, right.
It's that you're eating. Like Nick Foles doesn't stop throwing. Technically, he goes to the sideline.
Well, yeah.
So maybe that's you catching your breath or refilling your soy sauce.
Yeah, while the Redskins go 3 and out with Josh Johnson.
Right. That's the equivalent of you asking for more soy sauce.
A little water.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's
a little sake.
I don't know what I could do 25 times. I tried to, take a basketball and juggle it on my knee 25 times in a row. I got to 3. I tried to go behind my back with the basketball.
Juggling it on your knee.
Yeah.
You mean bouncing it just up and down and
yeah, that's what they were calling it, juggling it.
Right.
I was using the term. I don't know what the hell I don't play that soccer.
I can't do any of that stuff where you see the guys like Tiger Woods and other guys on the tour where they bounce the golf ball on the iron and then they hit it.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody does that.
That came up because the only thing we could find initially was the golf club and golf ball in the back of my car. So there were no other balls or anything in sight. And then I couldn't even get one like legit to where I could get 2. So they scratched that too. Yeah. But I'm asking.
I don't think so. Maybe we can throw that out to the people on Twitter and they could tell us what they can do.
Or what they think we could do 25 times.
Yeah, that too.
I think I'm more interested. Aren't you?
Yes, at Shander Show, at Harry Mayes TU.
People's suggestions about what we can do.
25 straight times. Successfully.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's just the record. 26.
Can we do 25 episodes of Derailed?
Well, we're at 9.
Only at 9.
It feels probably like 25 for you.
It feels like 200.
Should
But
we
anyway,
be rolling a clip show?
Are we ever going to talk about football?
I'm ready. I'm waiting for you.
Well, I mean, come on. Maybe,
I can't tell if you're Arians or Krause today.
But yes, I do have my Bruce Arians Kangol lid on and my Temple pullover. But anyway, you think about what we were talking about on the pregame show yesterday was that Matt Nagy was Chicago.
Yep.
How long would he keep his starters in the game? Would
really
San Francisco be competitive early against the Rams, which they really weren't at all because Nick Mullins threw three interceptions before I think the first quarter was over.
Right.
And that game
Not
was over.
Matt Mullen from Philly Voice.
No. No. But we were wondering this. How long would it take before Chicago would start pulling their starters? They didn't. Right. And Kirk Cousins was Kirk Cousins against a good team.
I can't believe it.
He's now 4-25 against teams with a 500 or greater record in his career.
That's ridiculous.
And 0-for-6, I believe, in 2018, just this season.
They paid all of that money for a big game.
What was it, $84 million? Yep. Some say $90 million.
Well, and then you look at the guaranteed, right? They paid all of that money to step up from where they were last year because of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. They thought Case Keenum wasn't good enough. So let's bring in Kirk Cousins, pay him all that money for a big game. This was the biggest game. This was the start of the playoffs for the Vikings, and they bowed out. This was the play-in game. Right.
At home.
This is like hosting the play-in game in college basketball and losing on your home court where you're hosting the play-in game to an opponent, as you mentioned, who had nothing to play for.
Right.
I think one thing that we might have undervalued is whatever bad blood has either been brewing or is brewing between these two organizations. A lot of times it's manifested between coaches or players for that matter.
So you're talking about Vikings Bears.
Correct, correct. Because the only thing I can think of is that Matt Nagy wanted to stick it to Zimmer so bad that it just completely overrided everything logical that would tell him, hey, sit these guys. And again, I know it was late in the game, but they were still throwing the football in the fourth quarter.
Right.
With Mitchell Trubisky on the field.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, we're going to talk about Dallas playing their starters throughout the game, too, which I was thinking all that stuff is nuts. We wanted the Bears to stick with their starters because that was the best chance. That was the only chance that the Eagles had to make the playoffs because we figured they were going to beat the Redskins.
And totally hypocritical.
Yes, but that's okay. That's what fans are.
Yes, I'm just saying.
It's self-serving.
Acknowledging it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll make fun of everybody else who are playing the starters except for the Bears.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because we're self-serving Eagle fans.
Exactly. Even, take it a step further, even if Trubisky got hurt, we'd still be saying, thank you for keeping him out there.
Yes.
As opposed to, you idiot, you should have pulled him earlier.
Right, because then you're playing the Bears in a playoff game with Chase Daniel as the quarterback.
Chase Daniel?
Watch your foot there. You're going to knock that bottled over, and you're going to get stuff all over my carpet. Okay. I know this is going to happen.
Okay. I'm keeping it out of sight so that, no sponsorship.
Oh, don't worry about it. Maybe we can get a Smart Water sponsorship.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I heard those things are tough.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. They're very difficult.
But anyway, Foles was great. Then he sustains an injury late in the game to his chest and his rib area. I understand he's going to play against the Bears.
He said he's optimistic. He wants to play. I believe him.
Yeah.
He's
going to be cleared to play.
The only issue is, and it looks like, based on what we hear, it's not broken. And that's the difference.
Right.
You can't be out there with a broken rib. You'll kill yourself.
Exactly.
Somebody will kill you when they
could puncture a lung.
Exactly.
I mean, all kinds of bad things can happen.
But the bruised rib, one rib, you'd think, okay, now, if all things are equal and Nick Foles starts this football game, 3 quarterbacks are going to dress.
I don't know about that.
No?
I don't know. I mean, you're taking away a roster spot for a player. The question is, I know where you're going.
The quarterback's hurt. I think you have to. Well, if Nick Foles were healthy, you don't dress 3 quarterbacks. If Nick Foles is hurt, which he is coming into this game, Harry,
you dress Carson Wentz.
And Sudfeld,
He's never been placed on IR, I believe, for this very reason.
He comes in?
Yeah, think about the story.
But the only way
Talk about storylines last year.
Right.
Think about the storyline if Nick Foles has to leave the game at any point in time because re-aggravating that injury, and in comes Wentz, and Wentz takes him to the Super Bowl.
It's like Alabama.
That would be right. Yeah. But think about the storylines are just immense.
Well,
it's incredible.
I mean, it's technical. If they go on and win a Super Bowl, would it not be like Alabama?
Well, Alabama took place in the championship game only. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying, right. Yeah. You have more technically roadway leading, a runway leading up to it.
Right.
But we're definitely at the point right now where New Orleans is going to be New Orleans. That's going to be a discussion down the line.
Right.
But I still can't believe. Well, there are two things that are huge from Week 17 that I think jump out, right? First, the obvious is local, where we are, Nick Foles, which is going to be, and his injury, I think, takes away from it a little bit, but it's going to be Nick Foles and the Eagles all over the place, plastered everywhere this week.
And that was basically a home game yesterday. We knew there'd be a lot of Eagle fans, but man, a lot. Did you see?
Well, we said on the pregame it was going to be upwards to 90%. They didn't even have a halftime show.
Yeah, we were guessing, could be upwards to 90%. Based
Snyder
upon...
didn't have any. You see Reuben Frank's Twitter account?
No.
He has a snapshot of halftime. There isn't anything out there. It's like 5 or 6 hours into like the overnight, in which if you were to take a shot of the field and it would be empty. There was nothing out there at all. There wasn't even equipment or players or anything out there. Snyder didn't even have a halftime show.
Well, what are you going to do? Throw out Dave Matthews Band? I think he was busy.
Are they still around?
He was doing the show in Miami for the college game.
I thought that was
doing
the Roots who were down in Miami.
Anyway.
I saw.
Did you see the reaction? The Eagles fans stayed at FedEx Field in the concourses and the club level to watch the game, the finish of the Minnesota-Chicago game. And it was just thousands of Eagles fans doing an Eagles chant once the final hit.
Right.
And they realized that they were actually going to the playoffs.
It's amazing.
It is unbelievable.
To have that as Lincoln Financial South.
Yeah.
In which everybody came down. And we talked to people who were driving down the day of the game.
Yeah.
It was insanity from the traffic and
from
the
that
volume.
Maryland House rest stop on
people
I-95.
took it over. Isn't that absurd, man? People took that thing over.
So we got
ridiculous.
Bears.
But the other one is, real quick, I think you're going to this, right? With Cousins? Bears, Vikings?
Well, I was just going to tell you the line for the game next week. It's 6. Bears are favored by 6.
Yeah, I like the Eagles outright.
It opened at 4.5 on Pinnacle and shot up to 6.
Yep. And I think a lot of people were looking at that Eagles in surprise, some early money moving that line. But I still think that if you got in, think about it, if you got in early, you got in at 4.5.
Yeah. Well, no. If you want the Eagles, you want the 6. No, you don't want the 4.5.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Is that if you got in early and then you see the money extended, and you think to yourself, that might even go even farther, right?
Well,
like it might hit 6.5.
6.5, 7.
7 is that number that won't hit, right?
Yeah.
But 6.5 is enough movement in which we can see before Sunday. But the other thing is, just going back to what we were touching on for a second, the idea that you would pay somebody so much money and he would falter in that moment, that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. We saw that a couple of years ago when Cousins was on with the Skins. And they took on the Giants. Giants had no reason to win that game whatsoever. Skins had their playoff hopes on the line, and he blew it.
Right.
That team and that's what helped the narrative of Cousins doesn't win big games. But it was a book that had already been written. You know, I'm on this Black Mirror, choose your own adventure stuff, right? So it was this book, and the narrative had already been written. All we needed to do was just see Kirk Cousins go through it.
Yeah, the last chapter is already written. You just got to navigate from like chapter 15 to the 20th chapter.
Absolutely.
To the final one. You fill it in however you want.
No, it's ridiculous. That's an all-time regular season. You separate it. I know it knocked them out of the postseason contention, but technically they're not in. That's why I said it's like a playoff game or a play-in game that they lose.
Yeah, what'd they finish? 8-7-1 or something, I believe?
Yep. But that's one of the most all-time choke jobs you'll see in the regular season.
And it could cost Mike Zimmer his job. I know there's been a lot of openings, already for Black Monday, but I've hearing some people talk about the possibility that Minnesota could also be one of those.
You already saw the move on from DiFilippo. They're stuck with a quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to get somebody in there who's going to be offensive-minded, that can run the quarterback, the offense, delegate as well, not have to worry about a defense. That's some of what Zimmer leaves. That's kind of the good and the bad is the offense is falling apart. The good is that there's some talent, at least on defense, you can build with.
Maybe that was the issue. Maybe Matt Nagy is a big fan of DiFilippo and their buddies.
You think so?
Well, I mean,
Nagy's
from around here.
Peterson.
DiFilippo's from right down the street. Maybe they're buddies for a long time, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to stick it to Zimmer because he hung my guy out to dry.
I can't hear Matt Nagy without hearing the other name. It's just impossible.
What name?
Nahagian.
Oh, God. Our former boss, by the way.
I can't.
I thought you were talking about Nagy, the pitcher from the Indians from years ago.
No, Charles Nagy?
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, I'm doing shows, like wherever I'll do stuff, I'll talk to people, wherever I have interactions, it doesn't matter. Social media, I'll see the name or I'll hear the name.
Yeah.
And it takes everything to resist me saying, not Matt Nahagian, to a random stranger walking down Chestnut Street who just randomly talking about something Eagles related.
All right, we go to Black Monday because that is today.
Yep.
Is Black Monday. This
the day of the shoot.
We're shooting on Black Monday. This will drop at The Branded Sports tomorrow, and it'll be up on iTunes and all the various platforms. But today, thus far, Eytan, I count 8 openings in the NFL.
Yep. Not counting Zimmer.
Not counting Zimmer. That's not
inevitable. That's happening.
That hasn't happened yet. Maybe it won't. Keith Wilkes out in Arizona after only 1 year, and he had a rookie quarterback in Josh Rosen.
Somebody famous?
Not Jamal Wilkes.
No,
the basketball
that's
player.
a great pull.
There is a Steve Wilkes.
Yeah, who is Steve Wilkes?
I think he's a football guy.
Was he? Who was the bodyguard for Jerry Springer?
Wilkos. That's Wilkos.
Okay, that's Steve Wilkos.
Steve.
See, you know about that show.
Of course I do.
Look at you, man. Right. You're a Steve-O.
Vance Joseph.
Isn't that what they call the people in the crowd, Steve-Os?
No, that's Steve Fredericks. Okay.
Not Steve-O from Jackass.
A couple of the callers hung up during the break. Vance Joseph is out in Denver. Dirk Cutter out in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, real quick, I mean, we're going to talk about any of these? Or?
Yeah, but I'm just going to go through the list.
Okay, well,
For Christ's sake!
I thought you were going to stop.
No.
And I could go through.
No, because then it'll take too goddamn long.
Well, how much more time do we have?
Dirk Cutter's out in Tampa Bay. Green Bay was open. Todd Bowles was zipped with the Jets. Cleveland was open. Adam Gase gets fired in Miami. And, of course, Marvin Lewis is out finally in Cincinnati.
14 years?
But I think the biggest loss may have happened to the NFL Network and their draft coverage. Because Mike Mayock is now the GM with the Oakland Las Vegas Raiders. How about that move?
I don't like that at all.
You don't?
Not for the Raiders. The Raiders just got incrementally smarter by adding a guy like Mike Mayock to their organization.
Yeah.
But my concern is we've already seen Chip Gruden in action.
Right.
We've already seen this guy come in there and say, nobody's telling me anything.
Yeah.
Handpicked or not, it's not a good equation when you have somebody who is so over-the-top Napoleon with how he runs his organization and ignoring things around him and doing it his way and everything, walking that line earlier of personnel. Mike Mayock is a genius when it comes to the National Football League, looking at it. I'm not talking about his draft board. I'm just saying the analysis.
Right.
Mike sees the game.
Because Chris Gregory, our videographer, producer, extraordinaire, director, pointed out via a text that he got of a bunch of failures, bad picks that Mayock said. I'm going to take Johnny Football over Derek Carr. I mean, he took somebody over Stafford. I forget who it was. Do you have that one handy, Chris? Well, and I know Stafford isn't great, but the guy that he took over, Sanchez. Was it Sanchez? Yeah. Right. I mean, there's, you know, he doesn't get them all right.
No, but I think the difference, though, is that when you're working for these networks versus your job is on the line, these guys' jobs aren't on the line. So they take risks. Like Hollinger ahead of time when he got hired, before he got hired by Memphis. You know, some of these guys come out. It doesn't matter if they work for ESPN.
Talking about NBA GM now with the Grizzlies.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you are NBA, NHL, NFL. A lot of these guys who are analysts take these reaches that when you actually see them in action, and it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get them but they are a lot less.
They're more conservative.
Absolutely,
because you can say something
because your job's on the line at that point.
Well, yeah, and if it comes true, you look like an absolute genius as an analyst, right? Because you said, I like this guy more than this guy.
It's like saying you keep getting the weather right over and over again, even though you know it's as broad as like 50-50. And nobody's going to remember or hold you accountable because you're not on TV. Next thing you know, they put a camera in front of you, the green screen, all the graphics. You start getting it wrong, everything is a lot tighter. That's what I'm saying. But my whole point of it is that no matter how I look at Mike Mayock, he's an addition, but I don't think he'll be used. That's why I don't think that it's a good fit for Mayock, not for the Raiders. The Raiders are idiots. And I think that they won't even be playing in this country next year. They'll be sharing a stadium with Tottenham.
No, Tottenham Hotspur?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. There's talks about that. Yeah, that they'll be sharing a stadium. Nobody wants to see him. Nobody wants to see him, Mikey. No. What do you want from me?
No, trust me. Once they get to Vegas, that's going to be a good spot for them.
We'll see. I think Vegas is naturally a hot spot for chaos.
But I love Mike Mayock and his draft announcement. I'm going to miss him on draft day, or actually the 3 days of coverage.
You're not a McShay guy, or
not so much.
Who's going to replace Mayock?
That's interesting. I mean, does the NFL Network? I mean, I know ESPN loves Louis Riddick, and they've elevated him in his platform.
But does Riddick do picks? Like, does Riddick go through and have mock drafts? Like,
I think everybody's got a mock draft. Even you have one.
No, I just have mocks.
Oh, okay.
I just mock. I mock the
You
mock.
mock the drafts.
Yeah, this is my mock.
No, I don't know. I mean, but you know who they get. Maybe Baldy gets put back in his rightful spot on it. You know,
can we get Baldy
featured?
Here?
Can we get him here?
Yeah.
He's hard to get.
He's easier, I think.
I mean, he's always on the go.
Yeah, but if we get him on an off day,
that's what I'm saying. He doesn't have many off days.
True. Maybe we go to his palace.
He did the game at FedEx Field yesterday.
He did.
He did the Eagles-Redskins game.
You and I talked to him on the Friday before the game.
Yeah.
Do you think that we could get to his palace and shoot a derail?
Now you're talking.
Outside.
I know how to get there.
Me too.
Yeah.
Maybe
we do that. We bring Chris.
Cameras.
Yeah.
We invite some people.
That would be good.
To come out.
It would be a good spot.
All right, where do you want to go?
All right, which one of those coaches
is most surprising, most
surprising? Where
do you want to take it?
Which one do you think gets another head coaching job first, if any of them?
Well, who got the rawest?
I'd say Gase is going to get snatched up.
Yeah, I would imagine. I think also if you want to count McCarthy.
Yes, McCarthy, right. He's definitely.
There's already rumors that he's going to be in Cleveland.
Well, and Gase too is rumored there because
they initially looked at him before he took Miami.
They did, and Peyton Manning thinks very highly of Gase, and Peyton Manning has Haslam, the owner's ear.
Yeah. How many times are these guys going to fail upwards into these positions?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's amazing, isn't it? I wouldn't want any part of Adam Gase. And Mike McCarthy, I think, it's not about deserves from Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl, so we're not talking about guys who are just continually in this rotation. He hasn't had the opportunity to have that taken away from him. Meaning, if he goes to Cleveland and Mayfield regresses, the Browns take a step back, now we're throwing him in that same cycle of how does this guy still get jobs?
No, you're right.
But because of
he will
winning
have
the
an
Super Bowl,
opportunity to fail again.
He gets exactly
absolutely.
right. Gase, I don't get him getting this opportunity to fail again.
No, I know, but he's young and he's still one of those offensive guru kind of minds. You know how these guys think.
There's a guy that hasn't been brought up because I think that we've been looking at it either just glossing over it, knowing that it's all been about Nick Foles.
Hugh Jackson might get the Cincinnati job too. Don't forget about that.
I can't. That's another one. If Jim Schwartz wants a head coaching job, he'll get an interview, I think. I don't think that he'll get a job.
I don't know.
But we've seen...
Because he's defensive. I think all these
Matt
guys...
Patricia, right? I mean, we've seen this before, in which recently, if you can show some sign of success, maybe you do go defense, and your offensive coordinator is a former quarterbacks coach that you elevate. Like, that's a pattern that we see as well, where the OC is basically coaching the offense, and the head coach is running the defense.
Right, and a CEO, and that pays particular attention to the defensive side of the
Jim
ball.
Schwartz, we've been told, wants back in that game.
Well, yeah, who wouldn't you?
I don't know. Sometimes people are comfortable doing what they're doing, knowing their role.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I think that if there's an opportunity to be had, all these guys are going to listen.
Okay.
For a head coaching job.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna be interested in that, aren't you? I mean, Dirk Cutter will be somebody's offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he'll get
an
offensive coordinator job. I'm interested to see what happens with Joseph.
Vance Joseph?
Yes, because I think he got, of all the deals around,
he got a raw deal.
I think
Keith Wilkes got a raw deal. He had 1 year and he had a rookie quarterback.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He had Sam Bradford and a rookie.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't get that either.
I mean, why do you hire a guy if you're going to fire him in a year? You know, with a rookie quarterback.
What did they expect Rosen to do that he didn't do?
Yeah.
Was there something that they were holding him personally accountable for in Arizona?
I don't know. Maybe they looked to Cleveland and what happened with Baker Mayfield in his rookie year and say, hey, why wasn't that us? Why weren't we in the playoff mix until week 16?
You think Buffalo and other teams are probably thinking the same?
Yeah.
Even though Josh Allen is like their leading rusher this year.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game yesterday.
So I think you look at that, and Denver was just stripped. Now, Arizona, you're right. There's frustration from Wilk's standpoint, which is, hey, I wasn't given anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost reverse. It was like Benjamin Button for Joseph, where he had a team.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things just through injury
Unraveled.
and movement
and trades
and everything was just like, no, we're taking away this and we're taking away this guy gets hurt, and next thing you know,
and now you got Case Keenum with nobody.
No, exactly right. So I think that was ridiculous, and I'm curious. It would be a shame if he has to go through the ranks again from coordinator back to head coach.
I doubt he gets another head coaching job immediately, though, Vance Joseph.
That's a terrible deal that he got.
Yeah. Now, Todd Bowles is an interesting name.
Defensive coordinator, you know he's going to get a job.
He would easily get a defensive coordinator's job within. He's going to be like the defensive Dirk Cutter. He's going to get hired immediately.
Good point.
If he wants to be a coordinator. My angle here is he went to Temple and graduated in '86. He's not that old. He's 55.
You want him here?
Well, I'm just saying, if he had interest, and I was told he had interest a few years ago, I believe when they ended up hiring Matt Rule, there was
that instead of Arians?
2012.
That search?
No, Arians never.
I mean, not Arians. Was that the year in which Arians took over for Arizona?
It might have been. And then Bowles went there as the defensive coordinator.
Right.
But I think he had interest in the Temple job
to
some degree back in 2012. If he'd have interest again, I would have interest as Temple because he's not a young guy. So you're not thinking like, well, he'd just churn Temple for 2-3 years and get another job.
This would be it for him,
This
right?
might be something if he's interested in college and recruiting, which is a whole different deal. You're 55, you take your $3 million, you win your 9-10 games a year, he'd build a hell of a staff with all his connections and everywhere that he's been. He'd build a staff like you wouldn't believe.
Offense would move the football. You don't have to doubt that.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got a good quarterback in place. It's just an interesting name.
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe a fortuitous timing that he's available. See, he wasn't available when Diaz was hired.
Right.
You know, he still had a job. It's just an interesting name.
You would have to really find somebody now, and I don't know if you can, but you would really have to find somebody now that you're going to bring in for what, 5 years?
Yeah,
minimum.
You can't be.
You can't be a transient stop.
That's what I'm thinking.
B on a way from A to C.
Yeah, it's really tough. But
does Cutter come in on his way to?
I mean Bowles?
No, you're talking about Dirk Cutter.
No, I was talking about Todd Bowles.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I thought
I'm
you were
talking about Todd Bowles.
Jeez.
He's a Temple alum.
Well, you got to clarify these things. People out here
Chris,
thinking you're talking about Todd Bowles.
Who was I talking about? Bowles.
Yeah.
He understood. Why didn't you?
Because I'm listening. He's playing Candy Crush. That's why.
He's playing Candy Crush.
I'm listening, all right?
No, I was talking about Todd Bowles.
All right, well then that's why you looked at me like I had 6 heads when I said the offense would move the football better.
No, right.
Because I was talking about Dirk freaking Cutter.
No, where you got confused is I said...
I got confused from when we began the show.
Well, true. I said that Dirk Cutter or Todd Bowles is like the Dirk Cutter of defensive coordinators. He'll get another job in the NFL immediately if he wants one. I think that's where you lost.
I think Todd Bowles would be great here in Philadelphia.
Now, a lot of people say he's not dynamic enough, you know, because he's kind of he's a very measured,
you
not
can't
high personality
beg or
guy.
choose or pick or gift horse or mouth any of that.
Yeah.
You take whatever you can get at this point. That's not going to walk away in 2 or 3 years.
But he's a class guy, and he's got a lot of integrity, not faux integrity, which is what Manny Diaz apparently had 17 days ago when he came in talking about integrity.
Now that's
and
faux.
17 days ago, or later, he takes another job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's F-A-U-X.
F-A-U-X.
Not P-H-O, which is cuisine.
Correct.
Okay. Have you had pho?
No.
Oh, you're missing out, man.
No.
Are you anti-noodle? Are you not a noodle guy?
I like noodles. I didn't have pho, Mo. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
I just didn't know if you like noodles. Yes. Noodles are a nice alternative.
I love noodles. But anyway, Dr. Pat Kraft at Temple might be teaching a course now in how to make $6.5 million in 23 days.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's a new course on the curriculum. Because they made $6.5 million in the buyouts of both coaches in 23 days.
Manny Diaz, man, undefeated.
Yeah, how about that?
I'd take that class more than I would Urban Meyer's leadership class.
Yeah, the leadership and integrity, I think, is the name of that course.
It's Integrity 101.
All right, now let's move on. The college football playoff. I know you watched the games.
Disasters.
Absolute.
Yeah.
Non-competitive, overhyped. just trash.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed beyond belief.
The bigger thing, it's not going to be who's in there. Because when you have, this is the thing, and college football has something really good going for them, and at the same time, it feels like, for whatever reason why, they're not going to open up and let it breathe. It's like they're just smothering something that they own, which is really good, and that's this playoff. We've all been wanting it, and it's great. The issue is, and this is where it transfers over into pro, is when you have 64, 68 teams, different rounds, you're going up against a bunch of different squads, that's different. But when you have 4 teams, and in the last 3-4 years, 2 of them are routinely there.
3 times in 4 years, it's been Clemson and Alabama. Yeah.
Then you do have an advantage of experience and players that come back and know what it's like.
Right.
Versus teams who are just brand new to this, and they might have played in the Butterscotch Bowl the year before, but this is big time in the Cotton Bowl or Orange Bowl. This is big stuff going up against Saban and going up against
Dabo.
Exactly right. So I think at that point, there is a matter of, if you expand it to 8, now you have Notre Dame, Michigan. You have teams that may be bowing out early, but you know what, Harry? At least they're there.
Yeah.
And these kids who are there for 2 or 3 years know what that experience is like. If it's the same 8 teams for the next 3 or 4 years, then you know what? We're watching, as you said, 3 of the last 4 years, the same 2 teams anyway. So it's not like dynasties don't exist in college football. That was so frustrating because my point of it is, Harry, I don't know if it's a simple solution, which I believe, which is, hey, Georgia should have been in there or Michigan should have been in there.
Not Michigan.
Because they might have laid that same egg.
Yeah, they could have.
Not being in that position as well.
And that's what I'm saying. To expand it to 8, which I'd like to see, because I would just like to have more meaningful games in that it's single elimination, but it doesn't guarantee competitive football. In other words, 1 versus 8. Alabama, they walked all over Oklahoma. I know the final was 11-point difference. But they were up 18 for most of that game. It wasn't competitive. Imagine them against the 8th-ranked team.
Right.
They destroy them. The 2nd-ranked team, Clemson, would probably destroy the 7th-ranked team. You know what I mean? Like 1-8, 2-7, 3-6. You're probably not going to have much competitive football. But at least it gives a couple more games where it lays, well, if they lose this game, they're out and the other team advances. You have that.
Absolutely.
To sort of add to what has been an awful bowl season.
Right.
It's been awful.
Brutal. And mention Michigan.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
No, well, unless he goes to the pros.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not how. I'll tell you right now. You heard it here. You make great predictions for games. I'm telling you, off-field stuff.
Jim Harbaugh's made $28 million thus far in 4 years at Michigan. He never beat Ohio State. We all know that. He beat Michigan State twice in 4 times, 2-2, 1-3 against Penn State, and he's 1-3 in bowl games, having yet to play for the Big Ten championship.
It's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Good money if you can get it.
But you know why he's staying? There's an obvious, and there's more than.
Well, if you're Michigan, who else are you going to bring? Like, unless Urban Meyer would come out of retirement,
they're not going to
what guy are you going to bring in there that's better?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, no.
But Harbaugh stays. A lot of why he stays is because there's that opening now to beat Ohio State. There's that opening to overtake and add something to his resume that he doesn't have already. And he cheats because he gets around having to take on Urban Meyer, who stomps him. But in this case, there's life left. If Urban Meyer comes back, I don't know. Maybe we are talking about Harbaugh.
Maybe he goes to the Jets or something. That was one of the rumors I think Jet fans were starting.
I mean, I know we're going to get to some stuff here, right? We're been derailed for everything.
Let's do it.
So I got to bring this up as well. I have questions. This guy was being praised as Father of the Year on Christmas because his daughter is a flight attendant.
Oh, yes, I saw this story.
And he flew on 6 different flights.
While she was working on Christmas Day. Yeah.
So he can be with her.
Right.
Now, my question to you is...
It was a feel-good story of the day on all the national news networks.
It was spoon-fed to you.
Sure.
But, when you're a baby or a child and your mind is as pure as it will ever be on this planet, you question every single thing that comes at you, including what that food is that's being spoon-fed towards you.
Okay.
How many people do you think he bumped in order to be on those flights and get a ticket? Like, how many people do you think had to go from California to Miami and couldn't get on a flight because that flight was booked and he was the one ticket, right? You could look at all these people going all these places.
Well, it's not like they're bumping people off so he could be on the plane is he bought the tickets, right?
It's he bought the ticket, but he's not going anywhere. And to do 6 flights all day, he's taking up 6 spots for somebody to be able to go from Denver to Boston and see their kids. Yeah, maybe that's the only time.
Take another airline. Well, this is the way you look at this.
Yeah, look at you. Go on Frontier. There's a Frontier for you. I mean, this is how cold-hearted you are.
Well, you're looking at this in hindsight now. Like the people that were quote-unquote bumped or couldn't get a ticket, the one person because he was on the flight.
6 times over.
Didn't know he was on the flight.
No, my point of it is that you assume that anybody who's buying a ticket to go from point A to point B has something to do at point B.
It's not like, yo, Holmes, you got to get off this flight because this guy wants to be on this connector from Denver to Dallas to be with his daughter, who's the flight attendant.
We don't know if the flight was full.
Well, you're assuming that that's what happened.
Well, it's holidays. It was Christmas Day. You're telling me people don't fly on Christmas Day?
No, they do.
Okay, so let's think about this logically here. It's one of the most traveled days on the planet on our calendar.
It is.
All right? And he's out there 6 times over flying around. You're telling me that none of those flights were full, and him buying a ticket to be on those flights, he didn't prevent at least one person that day from getting home to their kids, their wife, their husband, their grandchildren.
I think if there is that case, somebody needs to do that story.
Well, I'm here for it.
Well, then go and research. You're just assuming it happened.
Well, I'm assuming
because you hate happy endings. No, you hate happiness.
I'm a fan of happy endings. I'll tell you this. If I find one of those flights...
You hate happy endings that don't have to do with a massage parlor. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's fair.
Let's qualify.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you have to make more specific statements.
I know.
Unless you expect me to gloss things over.
All right. What other off-sports topics?
Well, I had that one because I thought that it was a highly overexposed storyline. And I'm guaranteeing you at least one person was not able to get on a full flight as a result of that guy flying around.
Okay, and if that's the case, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I want to hear from that person. That story needs to be told.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? I'll go back and forth.
No, I was just looking at my stuff is still with sports. I was just looking at some tweets. You know, Jimmy Kempski, our buddy from Philly Voice. The 2016 head coaching hires in the NFL. That was when Doug Peterson got hired. Remember? Mm-hmm. Doug Peterson's 29-19, 3-0 in the playoffs with a Super Bowl win. Mike Mularkey, already fired last year, 18-14, 1-1 in the playoffs, gone. Gase, under 500, 0-1 in the playoffs, gone.
Unbelievable.
Ben McAdoo, gone last year, under 500, 0-1 in the playoffs. Dirk Cutter, 10 games under 500,
Isn't that
fired.
ridiculous?
Chip Kelly, remember he was in that class again because he went to San Francisco. 2-14, fired.
And what's his record at UCLA? Not much better.
I think he had maybe 4 wins or something, 4 or 5 wins at the most.
Atrocious.
And Hugh Jackson, 2-21-1, fired. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable what Doug has been able to do with that class.
Yeah.
All right, I did want to sneak something else in.
Go ahead.
So, remember, this has been the year, 2018 has been the year of the closing. All right, a lot of stores, a lot of department stores. Some of these...
What was a toy store that closed?
Well, Toys R Us.
Yes.
I have the
There was
list.
outrage.
Look at these. I have a list of the top closings of 2018. Some of these are crazy. And you would think that, all right, how much of this is being done now online versus just
brick and mortar or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Toys R Us is a big one, and that's like the go-to, right? I just remember you get anything you need as a kid. Toys R Us was the first go-to store.
That or FAO Schwartz, isn't that the other one?
FAO's the
big
other
one in New York, right?
With the keyboard and Tom Hanks and Robert Loggia. Yeah. Sears.
Yeah, true.
Now, I didn't even know Sears is done. Yeah. I thought Sears, you could still go around and buy stuff at Sears.
Yeah.
But Sears closed down officially. Now, this is tough for you, I know, but David's Bridal is out.
Oh, is that really?
Yes. Yes, out.
They're headquartered right around the corner.
By us, Conshohocken area, right?
Jeez.
They are done. Mattress Firm.
Really?
Yep, low prices, comparison data, 100-night guarantee, all the things, all the good things
Interesting.
that Mattress Firm provided you, they're out. The Bon-Ton stores, do you know what these are?
Oh, the Bon-Ton. No, yeah, that's a department store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what Claire's is?
I do
Teen
not.
accessory store.
Okay.
That's surprising. Don't teens still go to the mall? When's the last time you've been to the Plymouth Meeting Mall or King of Prussia Mall?
I was there within the last 3 weeks.
Did you see anybody out there younger than 30?
Well, I saw
A lot of kids loitering?
I saw a lot of women of all ages. I saw a lot of older people.
We know what you're looking at.
Older people go to the malls. They hang out.
I don't think older people
by
go
the
to
fountain.
I don't think older people go to hang out at the mall.
Yeah, they do. Go to some of these malls during the day, not during the Christmas shopping season.
Well, like going to the mall and running errands.
You go to
different
Orange
than hanging
Julius.
out.
There's no. You get a slice at Sbarro.
Sbarro's. 9 West.
Okay, I've heard of that.
That one is high-end clothing. I'm surprised the teen accessory store's out with all the kids loitering there. And then the last one...
They don't buy anything. That's the problem.
They
just loiter.
Okay, that's it. They just hang out outside the store.
Exactly.
They don't go in and buy the 60-cent earrings.
Right. We need more buying, less loitering.
Brookstone.
Brookstone, oh yeah. Well, they always had those like gadget places.
Yeah, it was
like the massage chairs and stuff, right?
I always felt Brookstone was the poor man's Sharper Image. Not in the sense of...
Yeah, but you get these chairs and you go...
Exactly, right.
You know, it was great.
You just go back and forth on that thing forever until the demo ran out and people were staring at
Or they just threw you out of the store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I felt like Brookstone, not poor man's in the sense of the quality was worse, but Brookstone was like the poor man's in the sense of we could afford it.
Yes.
Like Sharper Image, you really had to...
What they had a catalog.
Robots and stuff. I mean, they were selling.
Well, you got a robot vacuum cleaner.
Well, now that's norm.
Yeah.
Before, back in the day, at Sharper Image, that thing would have cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
You would have had to give over a hand in order for that thing.
I have a human that does the vacuum.
See, I don't.
Vacuum.
I don't. I have a robot. Yeah. You saw that thing in action.
I did.
That thing's pretty cool. And it docked. It finally docked on its own. I was trying to show Harry how it docks on its own.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just looking at this thing. It almost disrupted our broadcast, our live broadcast.
Almost.
Do you have anything else on that?
I thought it was actually going to pull the plug out of the
Ethernet cord?
The Ethernet cord for our microphone, our studio essentially would have been taken off the air.
It was pretty funny.
It was.
Your reaction to it and you jumping over to it was great. Because we're doing these shows now out of my apartment.
Yes.
We should probably tell people that too.
Yeah, we should.
You've actually extended yourself to come over and do these shows.
Doing some pregame shows.
Right.
Yeah.
On 97.3 that we've done.
It's a lot of fun, actually.
I can't believe you're making it out of there without a contact eye.
I'll tell you what.
To be honest with you.
It knocks you over as soon as you open up the door to your apartment. It's unbelievable.
Well, I got air freshener going.
Yeah.
I got the windows open.
Jesus.
Right?
Yeah.
I told you we could do the show out there on the porch.
Yeah. No, it's too noisy out there.
I'd be surprised. I think that you can get through it. You can
Yeah.
get through it. All right. Do you have anything else on?
I think that's it. Unless you wanted to go through some of the other football stuff.
I want you to tell people how to follow you and me on Twitter.
Oh, you got to follow at Shander Show for Eytan, of course, and at Harry Mayes TU for me, and also thebrandedsports.com, and on Twitter at @branded_sports.
So we've got a game that we won't talk about until after it's over.
Correct.
We should spend a couple of minutes real quick looking ahead, knowing that will be the biggest storyline. If they go on, forget the game itself. It could change, Nick Foles, all that. Just let's look at something real quick. If they lose, we know we'll look back, injuries, all these things. I don't even want to talk about that. But we've got a couple of minutes left.
Well, if they win, they go to New Orleans.
And that's another discussion about if they can do it. But we'll see Nick Foles for 2 straight years take over for this team and win at least one playoff game.
Well, if they beat the Bears.
That's what I'm saying. If they were able to go into Chicago and beat the Bears, which I think a lot of us think they
That's
could
a big ask, though. I'll tell you what, that Bears team is legit.
But my goodness, can you imagine what this city's going to be like and the storylines and what's going to be discussed left and right about this magic that's back?
I'm telling you, the greater story, though, would be if they activate Carson Wentz as the backup. And he has to come in and save the day.
See,
that would be the story.
Why? You already have a happy ending. You coming down on me for killing a happy ending. This is amazing.
No, it's still a happy ending that they made the playoffs.
Yeah, but Nick Foles doing what he did last year
I'm talking about the symmetry.
You don't like Nick Foles.
Well, it's not that I don't like Nick Foles. To me, Nick Foles isn't the future. Carson Wentz is the future.
So you want to force this square peg?
I'm not forcing it. I'm just saying if he gets hurt. If Foles got hurt, he's already banged up.
It sounds like you're kind of nudging towards an injury. It sounds like if I were to,
Khalil Mack.
There's a little much right there of you wanting.
No, I don't want Nick Foles to get hurt. Okay, I don't. But I'm saying if he did, Who do you want coming in?
No.
Sudfeld, or do you want Carson Wentz coming in a playoff game?
I want Carson Wentz over Nick. Of
course.
But let me ask, what would you rather see happen? And I know where you're going to answer this, but I just want you to say it.
What?
Would you rather see Nick Foles duplicate what he did last year and win a second straight Super Bowl in the same fashion, taking over for Carson Wentz? Something that we didn't think. Or would you rather see Nick Foles not go down, but just he's hurt, he can't play, whatever the circumstances are. Maybe he does get hurt. I'm not saying that. That's more ancillary. Carson Wentz takes over and wins a Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz.
You'd rather at this. See, I think that there are a lot of people out there.
Well, there might be, but then I'm not one of them.
I know, but it's not about would you rather have Wentz for the future. But I think I, without a doubt, would rather have Carson Wentz for the next 6-7 years as opposed to Nick Foles if I had to choose. Right. But I would much rather see, for the theater and drama and story of it, Nick Foles continue to solidify. He's the anti-everything. He's the anti-franchise quarterback. He's the anti-throw 500 yards. He's the anti-Brady who just go. I mean, I don't know what the hell he is, but I would much rather see that, knowing that Wentz isn't going to go anywhere with the future. That's all.
Well, I mean, if you won a second straight Super Bowl in Nick Foles, you would be hard-pressed to convince people that they shouldn't reverse the course of action. And I don't want to have that discussion.
I wasn't going down that road.
I don't want to have that discussion.
I was just, that's why I qualified it saying that I still want Wentz here for the foreseeable future over Foles.
Right.
I'm just saying what's in front of me. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, so next time we talk, we'll be talking about an Eagles victory over the Bears. And
hopefully
some other stuff that we'll cram in there. Some other parent of the year will get exposed on Derailed.
Maybe the Phillies will actually sign
Manny
one
Diaz?
of these key free agents.
Who signs first?
Manny Diaz,
Machado?
he's already off the books. He's in Miami. All right.
Who signs first?
Who?
Did you, a week ago, if I asked you who signs first, Manny Diaz or Manny Machado, you wouldn't know.
Well, yeah, Manny Diaz was already signed.
Well, yeah.
But then,
unsigned.
You can unsign and pay the buyout and get out.
Now, do you think that it's a lock?
What?
Machado to New York?
I have no idea.
All right, I'll tell you this. He's going to New York. I'm sorry.
What about Harper then? Where's he going?
LA.
Dodgers?
Yeah, I think that's locked up. All right, for Harry Mayes, at Harry Mayes to you, Eytan Shander, at Shander Show. Another edition of Derailed in the books. Follow us. It's out at thebrandedsports.com, 97.3 ESPN.com, all of our platforms as well. See you.